Thank you for coming to my talk. We're going to kind of blast through this and do as much as I can. I don't know how many food demonstrations I've been here in OMED in previous years, but I'm pretty excited. You guys excited? Yes, all right. So feel free to grab a recipe. It's on this little table right here, and you can kind of follow along. Basically what we're going to do today is a cauliflower ceviche. I know it is October, so we might be a little bit outside of the summer, but hey, we're in beautiful San Diego, so we're going to be able to create this with you guys, all right? Who's ever made a ceviche before? It's a little prep work, right? Yeah. But I'll tell you, this is a great recipe. So a little bit about me before I begin. So my name is Colin Zhu. I'm a board certified family practitioner. I do locum tenens or traveling medicine. I'm also board certified in lifestyle medicine, and my niche is food as medicine, and that's what we're doing today. And so we're going to showcase this recipe and kind of follow through with you guys, okay? We're going to leave all the questions towards the end. Once I make the recipe and break things down, we're going to distribute, and I'll be here on the corner. So if you don't mind, just hold off your questions till the end, okay? Apologize if I talk really fast. I'm from New Jersey, so you just let me know. Raise a hand, slow it down a little bit. So we're going to get going. Everyone ready? All right. So a traditional cauliflower ceviche, it's usually made with either fish or shrimp. Today we're going to do it plant-based, so we're going to make it with cauliflower, okay? So basically this recipe calls for 4 to 6 people, okay? And it's great for dinner parties, cocktails, whenever you invite your family and friends over. It's a great appetizer for people. So basically what we're going to do is, first ingredient is cauliflower, right? Now, you can get this at what's great about produce, and what I love about telling my patients is shop along the perimeter of the supermarket. Because why is that important? Anyone know why? What? Fresh stuff. And how is it fresh? Refrigerated. So notice how the perimeter of a supermarket is refrigerated and needs to be alive. That's the key. Anything in the middle of the actual supermarket needs to be on shelves and needs to be preserved. So all that kind of stuff that goes into the packaging, whether it's a box of plastic, things like that, needs to be preserved to extend shelf life. And we want less of that in our body. So we want to eat whatever Mother Nature intended us to, okay? So basically you have a couple options. For those of you guys that want to be, pressed for time and you want to save on convenience, they have nifty things like cauliflower rice where everything is broken down, okay? So this is basically, minced up cauliflower from this to this. So it saves on convenience and saves on time, but you're trading, a little bit more money in terms of breaking it down. I always advocate for, actually cutting down everything, all right? So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with the cauliflower. One of the most important things when you're approaching patients is that the biggest barrier of time for actually cooking, okay, is actually time. Some people say money, some people say family, some people have all these different things, but it's usually time. So what we're gonna do is, you can save with things like having cauliflower rice, okay? And the biggest thing is meal prep that actually takes up time. Usually at food demonstrations, we would have either a camera or a mirror to actually help out and actually see what you guys are doing. I know you guys are probably craning your necks and all that stuff. But basically, I'm simply mincing all the cauliflower together. And for a ceviche, you don't want it to be bigger than a bite size. You want it in varying portions. So you want to take one small head of cauliflower and break it down. Does anyone know what actually breaks down the food stuff in the recipe of a ceviche? Does anyone know? You guys gotta speak up. Lime, all right. And how does that work? The acid, right? So basically, you need to have a good balance of acid with your food. If you're going to be using fish, okay, there needs to be enough acid. Today, we're going to be doing that with lime. Just by a show of hands, can anyone tell me how much time they can spend with their patients in terms of counseling, diet, and lifestyle? 5 minutes, raise your hands. Okay. 7 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. So what I like to do is that, you know, I do my best to be able to shorten everything and make sure that they get quick tips. Because obviously, you know, we only have so much control about how much time we give in counseling our patients. We want to be able to give them as hard-hitting tips as possible. So I tell them the biggest thing is, if time is your biggest barrier, then meal prepping is going to be the key. It's not really about following the recipes. It's not actually about the cooking. That actually takes the least amount of time. It's really food prepping. So what you want to do is, say for example, Sunday, you know, most people like to, you know, get together with their families and all that stuff. So basically what you want to do is meal prep all your food on Sunday for the week, whether it's you're making you know, lunches or dinners and things like that. For those of you who have families, it's great to be able to incorporate your kids, your spouses into the kitchen. It makes it for a great opportunity to get together.
Something like out there.
All right, what's the next next item on the recipe? 1 cup of red onion, right? So that actually equals 1 onion. Now, a lot of misconception is that, you know, it's expensive to actually buy, you know, produce. Don't you think it's actually interesting that a head of lettuce or a head of broccoli is actually more expensive than a liter of Coke, for example, right? You don't have to shop at Whole Foods. It's very important to really know your supermarket. So you have to survey around your neighborhood and see what type of actual supermarkets are in the area, whether it's your mom and pop shops, whether it's an ethnic market. You can find great produce at Asian markets, Indian markets, things like that. So, red onion. What you want to do is cut off the bottom and the top part, all right? And dispose of the outer layer. These guys, you don't need to actually refrigerate. You just leave them out on the pantry. Okay? So, this is the base, and then this is the head where you actually find the root, okay? What you want to do is place it on the board like so. And then you want to have the head of the onion face away from you. So if you're a righty, have the head face the opposite way. What you want to do is make 3 layers horizontally, okay? So you're from bottom, middle, and top, all right? And then you turn it like this, facing me, so you have 3 layers here. And then you're gonna make slits. You're gonna turn it back over and you're gonna dice it out. I know it makes more sense if you're actually seeing what I'm doing. But we're gonna make the use of it. Now, out of all the diet and counseling that you guys actually talk about, how much is that is actually relating to food? Or are we just counseling about macronutrients? Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, right? But is food in reality just those three components? No. What's great about food itself is that it's made up of all kinds of good stuff. Vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, enzymes. We need to be able to kind of steer away from the talks of macronutrients and actually eating things in its entirety, whole, all right? So we got the breakdown, one red onion. What's the next one? I'm actually going to be working on the tomatoes. So basically the recipe calls for 4 tomatoes diced. So basically small, medium tomatoes, okay? And we're going to dice these guys. Can then you guys tell me what you guys bring for lunch? What do you guys bring for lunch for yourselves? What? Hummus? Okay. Hummus is great. Chickpeas, protein, fiber. Anyone else? Quinoa. All right. What do you cook with your quinoa? So what's an interesting fact about quinoa? Quinoa is actually one of the fewest vegetarian sources that's a complete protein. So it's a misconception that, you know, we only get our protein from meat. So this is a great talk that you can have with your patients is, no, we can actually get pretty much all of our protein needs from plant-based. And that's comprised of whole grains, all right, like quinoa, amaranth, brown rice. We also get our protein needs from beans and legumes, nuts and seeds. It doesn't have to be coming from an animal. What other lunch choices? And why do you think I'm actually asking this? Ah, and why would the patients ask you? Ah, but why would they ask you? You're counseling the patient. They could ask the dietitian, right? They can ask the front desk staff. They can ask the nurse, but they chose to ask you. Why? They want ways to be healthy. What else? To see if you're healthy. Is that what you said? Okay. Well, what I'm trying to allude to is that you're the role model, right? You're the community, you know? For those of you in primary care, that's even more. You know, we have to give a great emphasis on this because they're looking to you, right? So whatever you're consuming, they're gonna wanna see, hey, is this guy, you know, talking, you know, walking his talk, right? All right, what's the next ingredient? Shout it out. All right. So we're gonna get 2 jalapenos, okay? Anyone have food allergies? Are there anyone that's gonna go into shock if they eat any of these ingredients? Don't eat it.
so the jalapenos are going to give us the kick for this recipe. You can take out the seeds. The actual spice is actually within the seeds and oils. So you want to be able to avoid that for, if you don't want it too hot. But if it's too much for you, then just not use as many jalapenos. Great question. Now it doesn't have to be jalapenos. You can do chili flakes, but the common ingredient is to use jalapenos. What's the next ingredient? Cucumbers. Now these guys are Persian cucumbers. Okay, they're very crunchy. They're actually subtly sweet, which is nice, and they contain a lot less water. So. Now for patients, how many of you guys have heard, you want to be able to counsel, drink more water, 64 ounces, 8 cups a day or 8 glasses. But then you get this feedback, but doc, I don't like the taste of water. Has anyone heard that? Is there a taste of water? I just find it interesting. There's no taste in water. What I usually tell patients is, water is pretty much, our bodies are comprised of 2/3 water. It's not made up of soda, it's not made up of coffee, it's not made up of Red Bull. Water, right? So we need to be able to hydrate ourselves. What I like to do when I show to my patients is a Nalgene bottle. It's like 32 ounces, and I put it right in front of you. For me, it's a constant reminder, hey, I gotta drink up. But it shows for the patients that if you have a constant visual reminder, then to always remember. Especially for our elderly, geriatric population, you guys already know that we lose volume as we age, so we need to hydrate even more. All right, next ingredient. Avocado. So, all right. Anyone know how to cut up an avocado? The proper way of cutting it? Someone did this. So you take a knife. There's a giant pit in the middle. And what you want to do is kind of make it circular like this. You turn counterclockwise and it opens. Beautiful, huh? Now, and then you take your knife, you slam it in the middle, and you turn clockwise. It comes out. Now, who just asked if it's right? True, very, very true. It's easier to come out, right? How do you guys test for a ripe avocado? I'm sorry? The stem out. Okay, that's a good one. What about the feel of it? Huh? Softness, right? And it's supposed to feel like what? A little bit squishy, right? Not as hard. So basically what I did was I put slits in it, and then you just basically scoop it out. I love avocados because they're a great natural healthy fat. The next presenter is not going to like me with my mess. What are some other barriers that your patients have told you of, Doc, I can't eat healthy, or I'm trying to lose weight, what can I do? What are some common other barriers that you guys get? I'm sorry? Cost. How do you address it? Just go steal. Go live on a farm, right? I heard farmers markets. Buy in bulk, right? Okay, great. What's a example? So frozen items is a great way. Why? Because when it's picked usually when it's ripe, and it's flash frozen right then and there. So it actually retains most of the actual nutrition. You get to last longer, right? You're not actually using the other preservatives that come with if you're packaging something. So the next recipe is what? Limes. Wait, are we making a margarita? No, this is actually what's gonna go into our ceviche. So get yourself a nice juicer. So you're actually not including the pulp and all that stuff. So wholesale, what other things? Wholesale like Costco, BJ, Sam's Clubs, right? What else? Frozen foods. How else do you save on costs? Coupons. Grow it yourself. I like that. Is it costly to grow it yourself? No. What can you start off with? Seeds? Okay. Okay. People like to do herb gardens, right? Yeah. How many of you guys have families? Raise your hands. Okay, have kids. Kids of your own, right? How do you guys incorporate them into cooking with you, if at all? And do you think it's important? Yes, right? It fosters intimate relationships. You get to teach them, right? Same thing with your patients. You want to be able to foster that. How many times nowadays that we come to a dinner table, we don't actually speak to one another, and we're more focused on our smartphones and all that stuff, right? I grew up in a Chinese neighborhood. Actually, if I'm saying neighborhood, I'm actually talking about my extended family. My immediate family, and what we do, we just turn off the TV, turn off our phones, and we basically just, talk about each other's day and everything like that. So I grew up with all that stuff before the age of the internet and social media. I'm kind of dating myself. All right, so we got 6 limes. Once you have all the ingredients, what you want to do is I would recommend getting a container that is more flat. What you want to do is being able to marinate all this and let the actual lime juice break it down. You want it to at least sit for 5 minutes or so. For consideration of time, what we're going to do is that I'm going to put everything on that table, including all this stuff, and you guys are more than welcome to kind of help yourself. But we're going to let it marinate a little bit. So for me, how I got here was basically I came into medicine like you guys, realized that there was a lack of nutrition with chronic disease plaguing our nation. And so I said to myself, what can we do? I needed to get back to food. I grew up with 2 parents cooking in the household. And so I wanted to learn more about food. I enrolled myself in a culinary school, and the rest is history. So any other questions, just let me know. It's a pleasure. I have my recipes and business cards on that end. I've also written a book. The proceeds of this is going to charity, and it's also found on Amazon as well. The book really talks about how to live, take your life to a upper echelon and really get the most out of it, juicing. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your time. I really thank you. And you have any questions, I'll be on the side. And yeah, enjoy the ceviche, all right, guys?